coming to an end. You don't want to be unseated when it stops. There are prizes awaiting.
Welcome, ברוכים הבאים, ברוכות הבאות. Welcome to this awesome moment, in this awesome place, at this awesome time. We are here to witness, to ground, to love, and to hold the container of a sacred moment in time and place so that new spiritual leadership can emerge. What an amazing, amazing privilege to be here with all of us. Part of creating sacred space involves turning off our phones. And the other part is creating a vibration in this room and raising it so that we lift the room up to the level that our musmachim may enter, because they're way above our heads right now. So we want to name this as an awesome sacred place. Yaakov Avinu gave us the words. He said, Ma nora hamakom hazeh. How awesome is this place? And with this beautiful chant that acknowledges how awesome this place and the God presence in this place is, this beautiful chant which we've all learned from my holy teacher and friend, Rabbi Shalomi, I'm going to invite you to create that ground and to slowly raise the energy with the words Hamakom Hazeh. Hamakom Hazeh. This place, this God. So this is your part. Hamakom Hazeh. Hamakom Hazeh.
because we're here doesn't know where we're meant to go. It's not always clear. As Moshe responds to Pharaoh, who said, where are you going to go with these people?
Thank you.
אנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. We won't know till we get there what this smicha means. We won't know the exact path and the river's course. But we are here now in this makom hazeh with our neda and our lo neda and our dat and all our knowings and unknowings. This is where we are. אנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. אנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. ואנחנו לא נדע, ואנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו, עד בואנו, עד בואנו שמה. ואנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. ואנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. ואנחנו לא נדע, ואנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו, עד בואנו, עד בואנו שמה. אנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה. אנחנו לא נדע מה נעבוד את אדוני עד בואנו שמה.
An invitation to a comparable opportunity to quell. With great kavod to our Rabbi Zalman, to our Vad and our Talmidim, what a pleasure it is to welcome everyone here today as 10 extraordinary neshamas take their place in a circle, a widening circle of colleagues, rabbis, rabbinic pastors, chazanim. We're in the week of reading about Yetziat Mitzrayim. Maybe you remember that one possibility was taking the short route. You remember it looked good, it went along the coastline. A couple of days, maybe a week. The land of promise was right there. Maybe, perhaps it's also been true in your own lives, that the shortest distance between the shortest distance between where you stood and where you imagined your goal to be was not linear. Somehow, you heard a call to take a holy detour, only to discover that, in the end, that was the main point. That it was the circuitous journey that enriched your life beyond your own capacity to imagine. That in looking back, the heroism of the journey was not how quickly you made it, but what you learned along the way. This is indeed the lesson of the letter Lamed, the letter that is the teaching, learning letter that starts here and ends there and takes a side journey. The letter of limud, of learning, is the letter of the not straight path, in which, if you are fortunate, you will find good teachers who will nudge you, coax you, goad you, urge you along the way, so that everything that you acquire enriches and is deeply integrated into who you can become. What extraordinary Talmidim. Soon you will hear pieces of their most exceptional journeys that you have allowed your unique and individual journeys to inter-inform one another, has enriched your lives and enriches ours. We thank you. We thank you for the privilege that it has been to be woven into the stream of your limud, of your lamed, of your learning and teaching adventure. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua Omer, Yehi chavod talmidcha chaviv alecha keshalach, uchavod chavercha chamora rabach, mora rabach, k'mora shamayim. Let the honor of your student, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua says, let the honor of your student be as dear to you as your own. And the honor of your colleagues as the reverence for your teacher. And the reverence of your teacher is the reverence for heaven. Today, we welcome 10 exceptional Talmidim into the circle of rabbis, rabbinic pastors, and chazanim. It is a great delight to welcome such students, to honor such students, to stand with you among my colleagues. A great further honor. And to stand with colleagues in the presence of Rabbi Zalman, our teacher, is a taste of heaven. Smile and beam. But this is a moment in which you can feel the radiance of a deep well of unconditional love. Thank you.
Meet the Aleph ordination class of 2011.
Together, we've been in the Aleph ordination program for a total of 73 minutes.
Between us, we own 40 talitot, 11 talitot ktanot, many scarf talitot, and more kippot than we can count.
Over the years we've been in the program, we've written somewhere between 350 and 700 papers.
In addition to our time in Aleph, we've studied at the conservative yeshiva and at Pardes in Jerusalem, at Mechon Chadar, at a women's yeshiva in Jerusalem, at a Buddhist summer intensive seminary, at the Jewish Theological Seminary, and in Episcopal Seminary.
We've lived in Alabama, Alaska before it was a state, California, Colorado, Idaho, Illinois, Ohio, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, D.C.
Also, in England, Ethiopia, Germany, Italy, Kenya, Malaysia, Switzerland, Taiwan, and Wales.
Not to mention Yerushalayim, Kibbutz Ravid, and Kibbutz Lotan.
In order to attend classes, we've both woken up early and stayed up as late as 2 a.m. in a variety of time zones around the world. We've met for classes in person at a Catholic retreat center, in university classrooms, and in the Boulder Hotel bar.
The jobs we've... I was there at 5 in the morning. Where were you? The jobs we've held include, though are not limited to, chef, director of a business college, Tibetan calligrapher, landscaper, machine operator, refugee caseworker, seller of chocolate to elderly ladies,
Forklift driver, sorter of punch cards for an early computer, curator of insects, maker of moccasins for babies, piano teacher, ghostwriter for a book on agricultural pests, forest service researcher, failed dishwasher, homeless shelter worker, refugee medical interpreter,
Sewer of costumes for a dance company, psychotherapist and couples counselor, college professor, director of pastoral care, director of a literacy organization, director of a literary organization, director of a transitional living program for homeless and abused youth, director of the headquarters organization for the Jewish Renewal movement,
tennis teacher, collector of tarnished plant bugs for a study on biological pest control, law school library catalog clerk, lawyer at the Federal Election Commission, leader of a children's theater company, cow milker, labor union attorney,
tractor driver, director of a program for Ethiopian Jews in Ethiopia and in Israel, singer with a Latin American band, music and movement teacher for babies and toddlers, medic, candle maker, who followed the craft fair circuit in the 1970s, and seller of ads on the back of cash register tapes.
As animal companions, we used to have 10 snakes and an alligator, but not anymore. Now we just have 6 cats and 1 dog.
We also have 11 children, soon to be 12, and 2 grandchildren.
Our hobbies include computers, Tai Chi, bicycling, swimming, singing, beading, sofrut, writing fan fiction, gardening, sewing, cooking, making illuminated texts, drumming, and blogging. 2 of us are beledi dancers. 4 of us are Lost fans, and 1 of us doesn't even own a TV.
As children, we thought we would grow up to be a pediatrician, the first woman Supreme Court justice, a teacher, a nurse, an engineer, an orchestra conductor, a nun, a horse trainer, a ballet dancer, a chocolate factory owner, and an Olympic runner.
For comfort in stressful situations, we turn to our friends. Chocolate chip cookies, prayer, a good cry, Haagen-Dazs, Psalms, chocolate. Chocolate. George Eliot's novels, A Hot Bath, our partners and our children.
Aside from Torah, our favorite books include The Fifth Sacred Thing, Yesod, The I Ching, Conscious Community, The Prophet, The Giving Tree, Anything by the Bronte sisters, the collected works of Mary Oliver, Love in the Time of Cholera, and the Poisonwood Bible.
We have traveled up to 6,000 miles to lead services. 2 of us lead chavurot, or congregations now, and one of us is the director of a nonprofit whose mission is to enrich the lives of Jews.
We have led davening in places as far afield as an IDF military base, a convent for the Sisters of St. Clair, and a Greek cultural center. And we've davened on our own in places ranging from in front of a giant tree to Senegal to the rim of the Grand Canyon.
Some of our most meaningful moments as growing spiritual leaders include a student who had arrived for class in a black funk, departing, saying that they had been utterly transformed by the teaching, energy work, and chanting.
Leading a group of elders in a Torah Hazakenim ceremony, which moved the congregation to tears and left the elders beaming with joy.
Officiating at a friend's wedding and feeling the love and holiness beneath the Torah.
Singing the Nigun of the Baal Shem Tov before Kabbalat Shabbat.
Offering the opening prayer for the annual meeting of Daughters of Abraham, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim women working together in mutual respect and understanding.
Handing the Torah to students after their conversion Beit Dins.
Teaching in prison, a dozen Jewish and Arab prisoners dancing and singing together in a pre-Rosh Hashanah lesson on Jewish renewal, and many, many more.
Some of us never imagined we would be standing here in front of you now. All of us are incredibly grateful for our teachers, for the learning, and for each other.
Our Divrei Torah this afternoon are a collaborative effort. We've chosen 10 verses from Torah, spanning last week's Torah portion and this week's Torah portion. Over the course of these 10 moments in the story, we move from Mitzrayim, the narrow place, into the expansiveness of crossing the Sea of Reeds. For us, this story can be read as a metaphor for our own journeys from constriction into freedom, including the journey to this Smicha ceremony.
As we come up singly and in pairs to offer words, music, and reflections, listen for the narrative through line, which takes us from slavery into freedom, from Egypt into the great wide open.
The Israelites, however, had light in the areas where they lived. Everyone who lived in that narrow place was in darkness, but those who wrestled with God found light. The light which spilled forth at Moshe's birth, when Amram and Yocheved's house shone like a signal fire on a mountaintop. The light which would cling to Moshe as he descended from the presence at Sinai. The first light which shone before the sun. The white fire on which the words of Torah are scribed. Bright spaces, even holier than the letters, pregnant with possibility. the eternal light which burns even now in every sanctuary, light bulb and lantern standing in for God, for hope, for redemption. The narrow place was confined in fog, but God's presence was a beacon for Israel. We carry that light in our cupped palms.
We know not how we will serve our God until we get there.
In the beginning of Parshat Bo, we are still slaves in the land of Egypt. Because of Pharaoh's hardened heart, his people must suffer more plagues, locusts, and then a terrible darkness. Pharaoh will not let our people go. Finally, Pharaoh calls to Moshe and says, "Go, lechu, worship Adonai, ivdu et Adonai, but leave your sheep, cattle, and little ones behind." Moshe says, "We must take everything with us to worship Adonai, our God, because va'anachnu lo neda ma na'avod et Adonai ad bo'enu shama." We know not how we will serve our God until we get there. We know not how we will serve our God. Moshe, our greatest prophet, knew that even he could not know what lay ahead. But he knew that in that moment, every one of us, from our elders to our children and even to our animals, were needed to serve God. But how we would serve our God would only be revealed in that moment in the future. We know not how we will serve our God until we get there, was the verse that Rabbi Zalman gave me 10 years ago to ponder. What a perfect verse for a rabbinical student to ponder. For me, it meant learn everything I can from our rich tradition of Jewish texts, history, philosophy, mysticism, Davinology, and the list goes on and on and on. But even then, I understood that the purpose was not to accumulate information, but to build a strong and widening container, so deeply rooted and reaching to the heavens, so that God could come through me. I was blessed to have wonderful teachers who also held this belief. As a student, I wanted my container of knowledge to be strong and my toolbox full, so that when I heard the voice of God saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" I could say, "Hineni, I am here. Shlacheni, send me. I am ready to serve." Now when I hear the verse, "We know not how we will serve our God until we get there," I hear that voice that first called me to become a rabbi, reminding me that the world we live in desperately needs healing. Millions of children die from preventable diseases, from unnecessary wars and violence. Our world needs the feminine, needs Shekhinah to bring forth healing and balance. I'm ready to be a vehicle for her presence in the world, to be a midwife for our new paradigm. I want to awaken people to their own sense of God and their own purpose in life. There is no formula for the future. We have the wisdom of our ancestors, and I feel them calling us, saying, just like we had to listen to God and figure out the way forward, so do you. My wise teachers of today tell me that the only way to get there is to be fully present here. And when I asked Reb Zalman 10 years ago, what is needed for the future? He said, to trust that God will guide us. I am ready to stand before you and receive the holy transmission through my teachers, of our ancestors, of our future generations, of God, because of the love, support, and guidance of my family, of my community from Santa Fe, of which there are over 50 people here today. My amazing chevra, my teachers, and my angels in all the forms that they come. Thank you, God, source of all life, who has kept me alive, sustained me, and enabled me to reach this wondrous moment. Benomar. Amen.
The children of Israel moved from Ramses to Sukkot, about 600,000 on foot, menfolk apart from little ones, and also a mixed multitude went out with them.
ויסעו בני ישראל מרמסס סוכותה כ600,000 רגלי הגברים לבד מיטב.
וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, וצאן ובקר, מבחינת כבד מאוד. 2 Torah verses, 2 different melodies. I chant an Ashkenazi trope, echoes from my childhood.
Chant Baghdadi, the faraway sound of a long-ago home.
Melodies blend and harmonize, bringing together all the disparate parts of the Jewish community. Who makes up this mixed multitude, this Erev Rav?
Sam, born and raised in eastern North Carolina, soft-spoken, quiet, ready to be content. Sam chanting Torah with love and grace and a drawl, fearfully out of tune.
Aliza, just 12 years old, a mystic in the making. Studying for her bat mitzvah, she searches for the hidden meaning beneath the Hebrew of her Torah portion. This is fun, she exclaims. Can people keep studying Torah after their bat mitzvah?
Leiko, a rainbow heritage in her veins, Japanese, African American, Barbados. She sings raw and nasal. Ya Ribon Halam ve'almaya antu malka melech malchaya.
Everett Fox points out that while our verse is often translated as mixed multitude, the Hebrew is Erev Rav, riffraff. That gives a different view about this Jewish community of ours. We'd like to have ideal congregations, members who work together for peace and harmony, supporting each other with respect and love. That's not always who we get. We get riffraff. We get people.
With many stories, Ruth and Arthur, born in Germany, survivors. Arthur, a radio strapped to his back as he swam in the ocean, sending information on the enemy's whereabouts to the US Army. Ruth made it via the Kindertransport. She calls me every Friday morning. Wie geht es, mein Kind? Wie geht es? Wie geht es dir? How are you? And at every Friday night service, she takes the children to light the Sabbath candles. And she blesses them. Baruch atah Adonai. May you all enjoy a peaceful and wonderful Shabbos. Bless you.
Bless you. Bless you.
In this riff-raff, rag-tag mixed multitude, this crowd leaving Egypt, I hear some of them say, thank you, thank you, thank you, God, for delivering us. And some of them say, why do we have to leave in the middle of the night? I'm tired. This bag is too heavy. Some, like Lot's wife, look back at what they're leaving behind. Some of the women remember to pack their timbrels.
Some are holding their kids' hands, longing for the future.
Some are looking toward the sea with fear.
Step into the water.
Step into the living water, the mayim chayim of God's mikvah. You go in as slaves. You come out transformed, a free people. Step out onto the shore of all possibility, able to tell your stories, able to retell your stories, able to transform your stories.
Tracy, a call from the hospital during Hanukkah. She'd been in a coma for 3 days, no sign of brain activity. Jewish, diabetic, jobless, living on the edge, only 36 years old. The doctor says it's time to let go. The family can't do it. The next day I come back. I pray, Tracy, may God, and may you know what is best now, where you need to be. And a single tear rolls down her cheek. Mayim Chaim. 3 days later, I sang Nigunim, and she smiled at me crookedly from her hospital bed.
The nurse said, she's our Christmas miracle.
A Hanukkah miracle, I said.
We have a mikvah in Newton, Massachusetts, a paradigm-shifting sort of place. People come from every part of the Jewish community. 80-year-olds who have never before immersed in the living waters. Transgendered Jews. Those who cannot walk down the 7 steps on their own and need the assistance of our handicap lift or the hand of a friend.
Some come newly welcomed as they begin their journey with the Jewish people. Some are newly married. One couple comes each month when they die. The wife immerses in one pool, her husband in the other, and then they go home together.
Some come to celebrate a joyful moment on the journey, and others to mark a time of grief or healing.
The dying come too, for one last moment of transformation, of transition.
Children are brought by parents who want to enter them into the covenant of the Jewish people. These babies think the mikveh pool is their own private swimming pool. They don't want to come out. May they be this joyful and free for life.
Amen. Like Fernandito, who I held on my hip while I leaned Torah Vosashin upon him, his chubby hand on the yad. He leaned along with me. Maybe he'll grow up to be a rabbi, his mother said.
I remember Benji, my dear friend, with skin as dark and rich as the black coffee she liked to drink. After knowing her for a while, we asked, "So Benji, how did you get to be Jewish?" She answers, "Well, my mother was Jewish, and her mother was Jewish, and her mother was Jewish."
God-fearers are among us, not Jewish themselves. They're supporting their Jewish families and spouses and our community. Attending services, cleaning up after oneggs, working on the Tikkun Olam project, bringing their guitar picking, wood carving, good thinking skills to help us build our community.
And Erev Rav,
a mixed multitude went up with them. That's how we began, how we became who we are today.
And who we continue to become.
Rabbi Yaakov Yosef of Polnoy has a teaching about Psalm 144, verse 15. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, happy is the people for whom it is so. According to legend, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef learned the deepest meaning of this line from the prophet Elijah himself. We are to be the people who can look at our world and say, kacha lo, so it is.
400 years we were slaves. Then we were free.
Things fall apart before midnight. Then we are redeemed.
Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo. Happy is the people who can say no matter what. So
We are the mixed multitude, the riffraff. We are the Jewish community.
precious, glowing,
Sparkling, changing,
renewing Judaism. Enjoy.
So the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading bowls wrapped in their cloaks on their shoulders. You'll need to travel light. Take what you can carry: a book, a poem, a battered tin cup, your child strapped to your chest, clutching your necklace in one hot, possessive fist. So the dough isn't ready. So your heart isn't ready. You haven't said goodbye to the places where you hid as a child, to the friends who aren't interested in the journey, to the graves you've tended. But if you wait until you feel fully ready, you may never take the leap at all. And infinity is calling you forth out of this birth canal and into the future's wide expanse. Learn to improvise flat cakes without yeast. Learn to read new alphabets. Wear God like a cloak and stride forth with confidence. You won't know where you're going, but you have the words of our sages, the songs of our mothers, the inspiration wrapped in your kneading bowl. Trust that what you carry will sustain you, and take the first step out the door.
And Yah went before them in a pillar of cloud by day to guide them on the path, and in a pillar of fire by night to illuminate them, so day and night they could keep going, never leaving. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night was before the people.
You are the one we followed in the pillar of cloud by day, the cloud, mix of darkness and light, earthly matter, soil, sand, minerals, swirling with water. Droplets of dew, white, gray, black opacity, joining the earth to the heavens. You are the one who morphed from water, earth, and air in day to fire, fueled by air at night, reds, blues, yellows, crackling with power, throwing sparks, bridging heaven and earth. You are the one gracing us with nationwide theophany, God vision epiphany, teaching the truth of the limits of our incarnational beginnings. The truth that the separation you deemed necessary for creation is not all there is. The truth that the illusion this separation created can evaporate into the reality that we are not other than each other. We are not other than you. We are not other than all of the universe, connected as our physicists now know by a swirling, whirling set of molecules that interact with one another in a dance of sentience we can only barely begin to witness if we follow your whirling, swirling, flame-licking earth, water, wind, fire, self, where separation no longer exists. You are the one showing us the way from our narrow place, from Mitzrayim, from a place we are not yet birthed into our glorious wholeness, showing us the way to you, beckoning us to reach our destiny, taking us to the place where we can be at one in you.
A place where we can be at one with God. We need something, we need some action that we can do to bring this down to earth. And we have that. In the ritual calendar of our year cycle, we have the Sukkah. Sukkot is the holiday of Aaron, the holiday of peace. Sukkat Shalom. Hillel charges us to be disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving people and bringing them to Torah. As Kohen, Aaron was a conduit. It was by his merit that we had shade in the desert. In Masechet Ta'anit, we learn of 3 miracles, each by the merit of one of the 3 shepherds, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. Moshe was humble. By his merit, we received the manna. Miriam, the prophetess, by her merit, we were accompanied by a miraculous well of living, speaking waters. And by Aaron's merit, we had the cooling shade of the clouds of glory. The Shalosh Regalim, the 3 pilgrimage festivals, each honor one of these 3. Pesach for Moshe. Matzah is like manna. Shavuot for Miriam, pure water. Torah mipiha gvora, from the mouth that speaks power. And Sukkot, the holiday of peace, for Aaron. Shade in the desert is as necessary as water and food. Without shade, there is no respite from the harsh heat of the sun. My dog Murphy, he loves to run in the desert dunes, but 9 or 10 months of the year, he seeks out the shade, making his way from bush to bush, using a minimum of effort. Even the sparsest shade of an acacia tree is enough for him. Clouds are the sign of peace. The smikhah of the sukkah the shady branches with which we cover it, there are our clouds. We invite friends and neighbors, hoping cool heads will hold calm conversation in anticipation of the winter rains.
And today, if the cloud and the fire are not beckoning us Godward, and the Chag is not directing our consciousness, how do we remember the truth of their teaching, the truth of oneness and of Sukkot Shlomecha? Perhaps we need look no further than the nose on our face for direction. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yehuda in Chochmah HaNefesh teaches that the two nostrils divided by the septum form an inverted shin. Some of you know about my recent osteopathic nose job, so this was very pertinent to my life. Shin represents cosmic fire, as it is the letter dominating the word Aish, fire. Once we were led by the fire of God. Always we are animated by the fire of God. Today our neshama, our soul, breathes the fire of God. Autonomically, constantly, without even a thought, leading us, calling us, follow, follow, follow. And what if we did think about it? What if we daily, consciously, poured our attention into the cloud and the fire, following them ever more deeply into our destiny? The Zohar teaches 4 steps to dwelling in a state of Gnosis in the God mind. First, overcome the storm wind from the north, and in doing so, overcome evil. Stillness, presence, being here nowness. Then, deeper, deeper, deeper. We enter Anan Hagadol, total opacity, the great cloud. From presence to the dissolution of separation. Then, amazingly enough, Eish Mitlakachat, the flashing fire, burning out our shame, cleansing our soul from stillness to the dissolution of separation, to the burning out of all that no longer serves. And then, we are there at the threshold, lit by Botzina the Kardanuta, the lamp of darkness, opening the gate to the mind of God. As plain as the nose on our face, as the divine fire we inhale, as close as the depths we encounter when we still, release, cleanse, and follow the dark light. Follow, follow.
Follow your nose. Like the nose, some very basic truths about ourselves can only be seen from the eyes of the other. What is my truth that only you can see. Can I ever know it except in dialogue, in conversation? We are led to sit down face to face inside the sukkah. This is a unique opportunity. We see each other, and through each other we know God. The Rav Shitzer Rebbe tells us that a face is like the other letter of the word ish, Aleph. Each eye is a yud. The nose a vav between them. Aleph is Ein Sof, the infinite. Yud, and Yud, the name of God. Vav is the letter of connection, the and. Literally, Vav is a hook. The smikhah of the sukkah may not be bound by hooks. It must be loose. Loose enough to blow off in the wind. It must be porous enough to admit starlight. Under the sukkah, we pray that we can be open enough to allow the smallest, weakest voices to impinge upon us, for the smallest light to shine through and enlighten us. The Zohar teaches that each star has a task, a lesson to teach in the world. The burning, blinding light of the sun is diminished by the smikhah, by the cloud of glory, but the light of the stars can shine through. Be'amud anan yidaber alehem, be'amud anan yidaber alehem, be'amud anan yidaber alehem, be'amud anan yidaber alehem. Shamru edotav v'chot natan lamo v'chot natan lamo.
Lift up your staff
And stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it,
that the people of Israel may go through the sea on dry ground. Ask most people about what miracles there are in the Torah, and likely they would say the splitting of the sea. Or they might talk about the fire and thunder atop a trembling Mount Sinai. Or perhaps they talk of the wonders of the 10 plagues, or the manna that appeared in the dry and dusty desert. All instances in which the natural order of things is suspended so that God's presence can be revealed. But a teaching from the Tivot Shalom teaches a deeper truth about the nature of miracles. It teaches that the miracle here is not the splitting of the sea, but rather the fact that the Israelites had arrived at a spiritual level at which they could sense the miraculous, even once they were on dry land. They had a sense of being amidst a splitting sea, of God's guiding and protective presence surrounding them, even once they had passed through it and nothing but dry ground lay ahead of them. The Ishbitzer teaches that it's the hidden miracles in the everyday, not the big, loud, wow, this couldn't possibly be kinds of things. He says that we should see the miraculous in every single event of our lives. And this is the highest possible faith. Lately, I've really been in a place of going back to the beginning of this journey, wanting to reconnect and remember all that drew me here. Digging through my journals, I came across the following, written, dare I say, in July of 2000. I am here at Elat Chaim and just came from seeing my very first Smicha ordination. I really can't believe this. It could be me one day, bringing forth a Judaism that's full of life, full of joy and wisdom and song and dance, full of yearning and devotion and joy. A Judaism that gives us a set of tools for drawing ever closer to God and for making the world a place that's filled with justice and with love. I feel like I'm in the midst of a miracle. God lifted me up and plopped me down here, and my prayer is that I and the rest of us can stay open to the miracle. Dry ground, miraculous? Come on. So much to do, to take care of, things to accomplish and figure out, meals to cook, bills to pay, confusion, loneliness, getting lost only to be found yet again. There is no doubt that there was some dry land on this journey, even once the miraculous seas had been opened so widely before me. Does our tradition teach us that we have to hold such a high standard, the miraculous in the everyday, all the time? Yes. And no. The Piazetzner Rebbe teaches, when you succeed in reaching great heights, God is delighted and your soul will rejoice. And if not, hunger for heaven is never wasted. Every awareness of and elevation, hope for elevation that arises in you, even those that are not achieved, they gather and they evolve and they surface in you as a manifest tendency to holiness. We are always in the process of manifesting and becoming, and at the same time, those moments of being in the miracle spur us on to an unending spiral of growth. I thank God for helping me make that prayer uttered that day at Elah Chaim come true. For the glimpses of holiness I've had into the ordinary that's really not ordinary, not at all. For my family, for friends, for teachers and teachings and students that pierce my heart and fill me with such awe and gratitude. For the wind on my cheek, for the sunshine, for the taste of a crisp, sweet apple, and for a world filled with people like all of you who are working really hard to make things right. I remember reading the literature about the Aleph Smicha program and finding a definition of a rabbi that probably only Aleph would give. A rabbi, it said, is a shadchan, a matchmaker between the people she serves and God. And so I pray today that I may serve in just that way, helping people to meet the miraculous presence of the One on dry land and amidst the seas that part.
Mazel tov.
My strength and my song is God, and this is my deliverance.
Oh
I'm trusting in you, oh God, to lead the way. And my friends to tell me the words.
Who is like you, Adonai, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, glorious in holiness? Lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Who is like you among the gods that are worshipped? My father, Irving Goldman, told me when I was growing up that the gods who are worshipped are gods such as money, power, personal gain. He instructed me to watch out for the appeal of these gods. In my adulthood, there was a teacher, Rabbi Michael Robinson of blessed memory, who first opened Judaism's spiritual depth to me. One of the things he told me was that the holy name of God, the name that is so holy that we never say it aloud, means the ongoing unfolding of reality itself. The ongoing unfolding of reality itself. In my work as a rabbinic pastor candidate and in my day job as a psychotherapist, I try to get myself and my clients and students closer to reality itself. Jewish mysticism teaches that the truth is that our deepest nature is holiness and joy, but that this often is a hidden truth. As I work in psychotherapy with myself and my clients, I see how that hiddenness works in our lives. In our real lives, we react to our experiences, we build a view of the world that lets in parts of God and shuts out parts of God. The work of healing is to let in more and more of God, more and more of reality itself. This takes courage, it takes luck, it takes love, it takes effort to free ourselves of false views, false gods. When we succeed in freeing ourselves from whatever comes between us and the deep truth of our own experience, we find, as the Hasidim would say, that each of us is important and precious, full of unique sparks of holiness. God's only chance to be manifest in our unique way, each with a particular part of the fixing of the world that only we can do. If this happens, we come into the joy that comes with more contact with reality,
itself, more contact with God, more contact with our own deepest nature. There we might find that there is a joyful underlying reality flowing through all of our experience like a deep river of light, full of freedom. We may contact this sometimes through unselfish acts of kindness, through mitzvot, through truth, through grace. And when we do, we're filled with joy and holiness. And we are freed from slavery to our false gods, and we can sing. Lai, 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 lai,
And Moses said to them, "That is the bread which God has given you to eat. This is what God has commanded. Gather as much of it as each of you requires to eat." It's hard to trust that there will be enough. What if we run out of food and when it's gone we go hungry, unloved and unsatisfied? What if we haven't learned everything and someone in the hospital asks for a prayer we don't know by heart? What if we forget something that matters? But this is the promise. The manna never runs out. The wellspring of Torah never runs dry. Tomorrow our hills will again be graced with dew. Taste the sweetness of our teacher's words, like coriander seed, like wafers in honey. And the more we share this Torah, the more there is to eat. Take what you need, eat and bless and be satisfied. Trust that we can handle whatever's coming. Manna lies all around. Open your eyes and see.
Lift up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea. I have the wrong line. It's the right line. I need another line. And it was when Moshe would raise his hand, then Israel would prevail. But when he let his hand down, Amalek would prevail. Then Moshe built an altar and named it, "The Lord is my standard." We are the ones who escaped. We are the ones who made it out of that narrow reality and into this broad wilderness of opportunity, manna, faith, freedom, and now the summit of our journey rises before us. We enter its foothills. We are approaching the threshold of a new commitment that will forever change who we are and how we will live. We are approaching our goal, Sinai. It is here, in the shadow of that liminal space, where we will cross into a new identity in our relationship with others. The doubts set in, the sleepless nights, the questions that bubble up. Is this what I really want? How can I live up to this? What am I getting into? If I change my mind, I don't feel qualified to do whatever it is, become the father or mother of this baby about to be born? or go through with tomorrow's wedding, or take on this new management position. Can I still get out? Just before Sinai comes Amalek, attacking the ambivalent, the stragglers. These forces of how we disempower ourselves on the eve of that life-changing event, especially the night before. The Zohar calls castration, not just any castration. It is the sign of the Holy Covenant that we are castrating ourselves of, that sign written into our individual being, our personal flesh and blood connection to the primordial source of who we are. Why is it that coming this close to Sinai, this place of our collective marriage covenant, should have such an effect on us? And yet it does. Yet it is here that each of us can rise up as Moshe, climbing up the hillside above that dry gully where a war is going on inside each of us. Moshe leaving the battle scene because fighting it out at ground level just won't succeed. But Moshe does not abandon the confrontation to run away and hide. No, he is in full sight, where all aspects of our warring selfhood can see and take heart. Scripture teaches us at such a juncture, climb up high above the war inside yourself. Elevate your hands higher than your head into the sapphire expanse beyond you. This is the mudra, the posture, the abrupt interruption of that threatening fragmentation. These hands that invoke, like a lightning rod, intercession from a power source greater than our own. This is the posture that invites a radical transcendence, the raising up of our limited perspective to that of the absolute perspective, the God perspective. Through this connecting, we become empowered, confident to face whatever it is we've arrived at, our Sinai. But first, Moshe brings this down and grounds it as a covenant. He constructs a rock altar. We need a witness stone that will hear the promise that is being given to us and to remind us. This altar is sealed with a name. God is my standard. God's standard is that altered perspective that will now lead us like a banner to Sinai. Upon this witness stone, God cuts a covenant with us that God will never relent, never forget us in this battle against our self-undoing, our self-Amalecking. And the sovereign hand that rests upon God's very throne in that sapphire expanse mirrors and is mirrored by the hand of each one of us below who has wrestled and has overcome.
Go ahead.
לכבוד רבינו היקר והמכובד רב זלמן.
Do it again.
Rabbi Zalman, can you hear?
Yes, very
Okay.
well. I've got all my...
Sometimes you get too much help from your friends.
I'll sing along.
Adore Sobodah, Ki Hava Yehu Elokim, Ein Oed Milvad. Because after such a nigun, one has to begin with a mimer. This is really an introduction for the Rebbe to come with a transmission. And I told you what, you want to hear my transmission? They are my transmission. I want to say that Rabbi Shalom was so grateful to you for this day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tov v'hameti. Amen. You know, when my Shalom became ordained here, it was Ro Panecha Lo Bilalti. Wow! I didn't even believe that I would have a son who would become a rabbi. V'ata Hevalir Kim Kamet Panecha. Now I was able to see the rest of them also. This is such a grace, such an amazing grace in a life. Hearing people refer to one Hasidic master after another in their talks, you can't imagine what glee there is going on in my heart. In some way, I want to be able to say, na 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 na. We don't have people who have dealt as deeply and so unearthed the deep material
in the Hasidic teaching as these people have done just and shared with you. I'm at work right now in something that I call the fourth turning of Hasidism. I'll tell it to you quickly. When I met with the Dalai Lama, I said to him, there was a Theravada, known as Hinayana, there's a Mahayana, there's a Vajrayana, and then you come to Madison Square Garden and do an initiation there in the Kala Chakra mandala. That means that you are now creating another turning of the Buddhist wheel. He is a very humble person. He says, for that you need Gautama himself. If I would have been just with him alone, I would have said, Tenzin Gyatso, you are it. You can't push it on other people. But I do feel that we have now reached a fourth turning in Hasidism. A way in which, one of those things that happened when we uncovered the grave of Hannah Rochel of Ludmir and we set a stone for her. The first leader, if you will, of Hasidic women. And what is it that we are trying to bring to the world at this point? A new shift in what it means to be rabbi. Let me show you something. Imagine, I'm not going to name any congregation, but you have been there. And there, the board of directors sits like the oral committee on a doctorate at every sermon that the rabbi gives to see, is he saying it the way we want it to be said? How could the Holy Spirit enter into the Dvar Torah sermon in this situation? Only if we understand that between rabbi and the kahal, there is an organic relationship. The rabbis will only be able to bring you as much as you will be thirsty to hear. It is important to be able to pray before every sermon that you hear, dear God, let there be a message in what the rabbi will give to the problems in my life today. And then, these rabbis will be open to hear the message, to receive the message and to give it over to you, sometimes not even knowing that they're being used as God's bullhorn. Because this is what is so important in shifting the whole atmosphere of the Jewish community, and I want to say beyond the Jewish community too. Rupert Sheldrake talks about the morphogenetic field. It is a field in which nature takes on new habits, provided that people are impressing those new habits. What is happening in an ordination is not merely to give people, if you will, a doctorate, a master's degree. It is to induct in them and through them that possibility, that power that should come to be able to unify us together, to make us organismically together, in which the rabbi and the community become one. The stupid joke goes like this: the president and the vice president walk by the rabbi's study and they see he is learning, and they say, didn't we get a finished one? You'll never get a finished one if you are still looking for answers. But if you sit there judging their teaching, their sermon, then you will be back in the last paradigm. In this new paradigm, where Mother the Earth is trying to teach us how to heal her, it is necessary that you should sort of bring in the vacuum of wanting to, I want to know, Mother, how I can heal you better, and they will be able to receive ways using those Rebbes who had already given some wonderful things And I like that business about what we knows not. Right? This was wonderful. So that's enough for you. Now a couple of words for you. Rabbi Daniel pointed out how Rabbi Zalman was saying that if we prepare the vessel, there comes the grace. One Hasidic way of teaching is sometimes to say b'derech tzachot, almost like a joke. And it goes like this: Hashem yilachem lachem, ve'atem tacharishon, which goes like this: God will give you bread, lechem, ve'atem tacharishon, but you have to plow. Machresha, get that? And the point is this: that most people have a sense that if you say God helps those who help themselves, that this is a cynical statement. But the truth of the matter is that according to the vessels that we prepare, according to that the grace comes down to us. And so the plowing is necessary, and the bread will come, and that's very, very important. That's number one. Number two, why do we have to wash our hands before we eat? And what is it called? Netilat Yadayim. And you look at the word netilat, it means sometimes that the angel of death comes and takes a soul. It's called netilat neshama. He takes away the soul. And cutting nails is called netilat tzipornayim. Thank you. Yashakoyel. Everything turn. So, why is it called Netilat Yadayim? I heard from an old chassid who said like this: when we sit down to eat, we have a sense, Kochi ve'otzem yadi asali et ha'chayil hazeh. I did it. You will create the vessel, but if you think that what comes into the vessel is what you did it, therefore you have to cut off. You have to wash it off. You can't say it was your merit that got it. It's the merit of the people to whom you have to transmit it. And I tell you, there's going to be little Satan sitting on your shoulders afterwards and say, "Oh, was I good?" When that happens, just say, "Oh, were you good?" and send it out.
Every time I get to follow Rabbi Zalman, I can always be reminded that he's taller than me. Long ago, before there was something we call Jewish Renewal, I remember, I don't exactly know how, but I remember holding a record. Remember those? I remember holding a record, and it was called Sing Unto God, and it was a record that was done by a 17-year-old woman in the Reform movement. And I listened to that record, and I thought, a kindred soul. Somebody who's on the same path, who doesn't come out of the Orthodox and conservative world like I do, who comes out of the Reform world and who is doing the same work. And so I learned the Shema, and in English, Ve'ahavta, and I learned the Kaddish. And I watched as this person became a teacher and a guide and a friend to so many, and to so many in this room at this moment. The best of my knowledge, Debbie Friedman was never here for one of our Smicha ceremonies. But I have this hope that on her ascent that began this morning, that she took some time as she got up about the height of the Rockies and is here with us. And I would like to invite her into our lineage. And because Rabbi Zalman, you mentioned this before, just a fragment. Yitkada ve'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah B'yamah
וימליך וימליך מלכותך. ואשא אתכם על כנפי נשרים ואביא אתכם אליי. I bore you. This is actually from the same parts of the Torah reading, isn't it? I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to me. Ki mi goy gadol asher lo Elohim kirovim elav kadonai Eloheinu b'chol kar'enu elav. For who else is such a great nation that has God so near to it as Yah our God in all our calling? We are the people called from the slavery of Egypt, carried on the wings of Shekhinah to be among those in this world who witness to the presence of the divine in this world. According to Pirkei Avot, Moshe received Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Yehoshua, who in turn transmitted Torah to the elders, who transmitted Torah to the prophets, who in turn transmitted it to the men of the Great Assembly. Over time, this linear transmission, the laying on of hands, smikhah, from one generation of men to another, became diffused as we wandered, spread out over the world, and as the number of our teachers who nourished disciples grew. For many, being a rabbi eventually became a degree, a measure of the intellectual mastery of a body of material, which in turn conferred power and authority. For us, being a rabbi acknowledges belonging to a lineage and expresses a willingness to serve others as a model and guide of spiritual practice and development in this moment of a great shifting of paradigms. Today we welcome our latest initiates of rabbis, cantors, and rabbinic pastors into the new lineage of Jewish spiritual renewal, drawing deeply on the wisdom of those who have preceded us, and particularly on the devotional mystics of Eastern European Hasidism. This lineage, given first expression and form by our beloved Rabbi Zalman Schachter-Shalomi. Now in our time, we lay the hands of smicha, of trust and confidence, on both women and men equally, with loving respect for multiple possibilities of sexual orientation and life choices. This is in keeping with our commitment to voluntary negotiation with the dynamic, ever-fluctuating balance between individual practice and communal cohesion. According to the lineage of Pirkei Imahot, Miriam received Torah at Sinai and passed it to Machla, Noah, Chagla, Milcah, and Tirzah, the daughters of Tzlafta, who passed it to Devorah, who gave it to Chana, who passed it to Michal bat Shaul, eventually received by Bruria and transmitted to Chana Rochal of Ludomeria, Regina Jonas of Berlin, and now surfacing again to walk side by side and share the light equally with the parallel lineage of men with which we began. We are humbly grateful for this moment of living in the fulfillment of our age-old dream, that the light of the moon be like the light of the sun and like the light of the 7 days of creation. May the lights of men and women in all their multiple, varied, and wonderful forms grow ever stronger in the bond of open partnership and service to the one. Amen. Amen.
Beautiful friends, we call out the Aleph Vad. If you will stand here in front of the Bima. Joined by any other mentors or teachers who have been particularly invited by Shoshana Brown to offer her smicha as Chazan. For now we call Shoshana Brown, Shoshana Elisheva Bat Abraham V'Sarah, to come forward and stand in the midst of your teachers.
בשם יה אלוהי ישראל.
הננו מסמיכים אותך לכהן כחזן ובעל תפילה בישראל, להורות תורה לרבים ורבים, ולהקדיש עולם הנגינה לכבוד השכינה. והננו ממנים אותך כשליחה, כשם שמינו אותנו המסמיכים שלנו. ותהי ידך כידינו, פיר כפינו, קולך כקולנו, שירך כשירנו, עתירתך כעתירתנו, ברכתך כברכתנו. המברך מדבריו.
In the name of Yah, the God of Israel,
we here ordain you to serve as Chazan and Master of Tefillah among our people Yisrael, to be a source of Torah to multitudes, to elevate the realm of melody into holiness for the glory of the Shekhinah. We here appoint you as our agent, just as we were appointed by those who ordained us. Let the work of your hands be like our hand, your mouth, our mouth, your voice, our voice, your song, our song, your prayers, our prayer, your bracha, our bracha. May the one who gives blessing be blessed.
we present to you
Chazan
Shoshana. With humility and gratitude, we call those who will be ordained today as rabbinic pastor, along also with those mentors and teachers who have been specifically asked by them to join the Vad in offering this smicha. We call Matya Rania Angelou, Eshet Chazon Meira Rania Yehudit, Bat Naftali Vebela Malka, and Judith Goldman, Yehudit Bat Chanafega the Yisrael, to stand before their teachers to receive this transmission.
L'Shem Yah Elohai Yisrael, u'L'Shem Yehud U'Sharichut Shmintei, Adat HaMakom Adat B'Yadenu, Hinenu Masmichim Etchem, L'Chahen K'Shlichuta D'Rabbanan, L'Lomod L'Lalei Torah L'Am Hashem, L'Shamsham B'Tzarei HaYahadut, L'Tomcham U'Liyatzam B'Darei HaTorah HaShalom, L'Nachamein B'Avlam, L'Samchem B'Simchatam, V'hinenu Mimalin Et Yadchem, L'Fi Piskei Rabbanim Mumchim, L'Yot Shluchem, V'chol Minei Maaseh Beitim, Sh'tiyeh Mimchen K'mineinu, Yichem K'finu, Birchatchem
כברכתנו, ויהי רצון שתתברכנה בהצלחה רבה, ושהשם יתברך ישלם שכרכן בבר ותופעה ונהורה לעלייה, ויקוים בכן, למען ירבו ימיכם ובני בניכם על האדמה, אשר נשבע יד לאבותיכם לתת להם כימי השמיים על הארץ.
Amen.
In the name of Yah, the God of Israel, and for the sake of the unification of the Holy One, blessed be He and the Shekhinah, with the consent of God and the consent of our community. Herewith we ordain you to serve as rabbinic pastors, to study and teach Torah to God's people, to minister to them, to support and counsel them in the ways of Torah and peace, to console them in their bereavements, to rejoice with them in their joyous occasions. We hereby empower you to follow the decrees of our rabbis, to serve as emissaries in all kinds of rabbinic actions. Thus may your heart be in harmony with ours, your word be in harmony with our word, your blessing be as potent as our blessings. May it be God's will that you be blessed with great success, and that God will reward you with robust health of body and enlightened spirit. Thus will it be fulfilled in you the promise, in order that your days and the days of your children be many on this earth, that God has promised to your parents, so that you might live heavenly days right here on earth. I would like to present to you our two new rabbinic pastors, Judith Goldman and Mattia Angelou.
We call the rabbinic ordination. Simcha Daniel Burstein, Simcha Daniel Ben Chaim Levi Bavracha, and Meira Chmiel, Rachel Meira Bat Abraham V'Sarah, Barbara Tidik, Shulamit Safir, Joni Yafa Chase, Yafa Rachel Bat Belachana V'Moshe Yitzchak, Rachel Evelyn Berenblatt, Rachel Bat Meir V'Leah, Deborah Ruth Kolodny, Dvorah Ruth Bat Shimshon V'Eti, Simcha Zedet, Simcha Bat David V'Esther, along with all of those additional mentors and teachers who have been invited to join in offering smicha. Lean back in your hands.
L'shem yichud kudsha b'richu u'shkimei al dat hakom v'al tikvatenu anu masmichim etchem לכהן כרבנים בישראל, להורות תורה רבים ורבים, לברר דין אמת לתיקון השכינה, כשם שמינו אותנו המסמיכים שלנו, כן מנועים אנחנו אתכם, להיות שליחים לעם ישראל, ולצפות להם את דבר השם, הבא אלינו ועשייתכם כעשייתנו, ופיכם כפינו, ודיבורכם כדיבורנו, ומעשי בית דינכם כמעשי בית דיננו, וברכתכם כברכתנו. לכן סמוכים אתם לנו, ורבים תקראו, להורות תורה לרבים, כדת משה, מרים וישראל. In the name of God, the God of Israel, and for the sake of the unification of the Holy Ones, blessed be He and Smicha, with the consent of God and the consent of our community. Herewith we ordain you to officiate as rabbis in Israel, to publicly teach Torah, and to clarify and announce the truth, ways that make us good and Shekhinah. We hereby appoint you as our delegates and emissaries, just as those who appointed us, delegated us, and sent us to be rabbis. And thus you are now ordained as rabbis and teachers. May your hands be like ours, your decree like our decrees, your acts valid like ours, your adjudication like our adjudication, your blessings like our blessings. And so we ordain you and call you rabbi to teach Torah publicly, according to the path set out by Moshe, Miriam, and the people of Israel. Amen.
Holy One of blessing, we are so grateful to you for this precious moment, May the power of your presence that we feel now enlighten our way, enlighten our way. May all of us in this room be holy vessels for bringing light and healing into our world. Ribono shel olam, Ribono shel olam, Shekhinah, oh Shekhinah, ya ya ya
So Chevra, our beloved rabbis and chazanit and rabbinic task, will take some yichud time to be at one with each other and themselves. And like the chuppah boss, they'll be welcomed back to the room under their new tent. Yivdu et Hashem b'simcha, serve God in joy. And each of us now has a holy moment of service. As the room reasserts itself, each of us has a chair, each of us is a chairman or a chairwoman. A committee of our own chair that we will move aside, especially this clearing the space so that the band may set up, and when they're welcome back in, the dancing may begin. That's what happens now, as we sing them out. Yivdu et Hashem b'simcha.